Hey guys, Doc Pattison here with some reflections on week 3 of our Core52. We're looking at Genesis 3 and what is oftentimes called the fall. Now guys, as Jesus followers, we believe in this notion of sin. We believe there's a God and that our God has set standards of right and wrong. We believe that we're not smart enough or good enough to set our own standards. And we understand that we don't even live up to our own standards, much less God's. We also have this propensity to trivialize our sin. We rationalize, saying things like, just because it's wrong for you doesn't mean it's wrong for me. Or we minimize the sin. Well, I'm only human, or I'm not perfect, or everyone's doing it. Or we try to shift blame, saying things like, well, he made me do it, or she made me do it, or maybe even the devil made me do it. Bottom line, guys, sometimes we just refuse to acknowledge sin's power over us. Sometimes we do admit that we sin, but deny that we are fundamentally sinners. Well, Genesis 3 explains the nature of sin. It talks about its power over us, and it begins pointing us towards God's answer. Now, back in chapter 2 of Genesis, God had planted 2 trees in the Garden of Eden, a yes tree and a no tree, a tree of life and a tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, this tree of life is probably not a reference to eternal life. More likely, as long as you're eating from this tree, you're doing life with God, for God, God's way, and life will be good. It's the yes tree. On the other hand, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is kind of like the no tree. And it's probably a symbol of God knowledge, the ability to set your own good and evil. It's probably not just that they had no sense of good and evil until eating from the tree. Otherwise, why would eating from it be considered wrong? But it's more like they can make their own rules, like be their own gods. Now, God had given the instructions, you may eat freely from the abundance of trees in this garden, with only one exception, that no tree. You see, guys, sin is essentially a declaration of independence from God. The essence of sin is basically rebellion, telling God, you're not the boss of me. Or another variation is kind of like telling God, on this one, you're just kind of stupid. I know what I want more than you know what I want. I know what's best for me better than you know what's best for me. I can choose my own right. And so Adam and Eve, from this profusion of trees, begin to fixate on the one tree that's forbidden, rather than on the profusion of trees that they're free to eat from, the grace. We all tend to focus on what's forbidden to us, don't we? Well, some people wonder if the tree was a powerful temptation, and if the tree was so dangerous, why did God place it in the garden in the first place? Why did he put it in the center of the garden? Why not wall it off or put it in some remote place where the temptation to eat would be limited? But understand, guys, that freedom is necessary for a relationship to mean anything at all. Our yes to God only matters because we can also say no to God. So chapter 3 is about temptation and the fall. The serpent, Satan, Chapter 3, verse 1 says, did God really say to you that you can't eat from any of these trees? He was twisting God's words, making God seem harsher than he really was instead of gracious. He was trying to plant doubt in the goodness of God. And we wonder, does God really have my best interests at heart? If I obey God, am I going to miss out on something I really need? We begin to wonder, maybe God is not good enough or smart enough to direct my ways. Well, Eve responds in verse 2, God told us neither to eat from this one tree nor touch it, making God more severe, unreasonable, as she begins to rationalize her desire to disobey. Verse 6, Eve saw that it was good for food, pleasing to the eye, and desirable for wisdom, so she ate from it. She thought it was good, pleasing to the eye, it would make her wise, so she ate from it. Obsessed with disobedience, she began to justify her disobedience, excuse it, to develop a rationalization for what she wanted to do. Next thing you know, they're hiding from God. How stupid is that? And next thing you know, they're beginning to blame each other for the sin. I mean, Adam tells God, the woman you gave me, God, she is the one who prompted me to sin, and it's kind of your fault, God, for giving her to me. Eve says, the serpent, he's the one who tricked me. And ever since then, we begin to blame others when we stumble into sin. Well, when they ate the forbidden fruit, immediately their relationships were corrupted. Their relationship with God, their relationship with each other, their relationship with creation, they were all corrupted. In fact, their own hearts became corrupt. and they begin to experience the consequences of their sin. Often, guys, we think we know what our sin is going to produce, but there are always these consequences. It always affects our relationship with God, our relationship with the people we do life with, our stewardship of our world, and our own souls. Guys, this chapter is about this idea of depravity. The fact is, we understand we're broken. We don't even live up to our own standards, much less God's. And this story explains this corruption, how it started and how it works. We were made in God's image, with a greater capacity for good than any other creature. And we understand that something has gone seriously wrong. We are not simply neutral moral agents who could choose good if we tried hard enough. We have this predisposition for choosing badly, a propensity, a bent towards disobedience. We find ourselves to be stubborn, willful, and weak. And God's response? Grace. I mean, God could have walked away. He could have left us to our own pathetic choices. God could have eliminated us, disappeared us, destroyed us. Instead, with grace, he begins a path of restoration that will lead eventually and directly to Jesus. Guys, I hope you're finding the readings rich. I encourage you to keep on going. Next week, we're going to tackle chapter 4 of Core 52.